welcome and thank you for watching the video. Before we get into it, please make sure you take a second to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and if you have something nice to say, please leave a comment. Now let's get into it. And we're live. I'm here with my brother Marwan. Marwan, dude, I mean, for people out there that are listening, this one's actually quite special to me because you, as opposed to many of my guests before, I've never met them. And you're a dear friend of mine. I haven't seen you in literally, I think, about 2 years.
Yeah, it's been 2 years.
And the way that we met is funny also. But we'll get into that because we'll be here for a couple hours. But dude, I'm happy to have you on my show.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm so excited. It's the first time I do like a video podcast.
Because I saw some of the other shows you're on, and it's all virtual with the pandemic times.
Yeah.
So I told you a few seconds ago, there's a little tidbit, a little story that's meaningful to you, so that the people out there can get to know you a little bit better.
Amazing.
Hit us.
Yeah. So my name is Marwan Abdelhamid. I'm Palestinian. My origins, my background, it's a bit complicated. So my mother's half French, half Algerian. My father's half Serbian, half Palestinian. So I'm it's just a mixture of all these different cultures. And it plays a big role in my identity. I've always struggled with identity. But I was born in Jerusalem. I grew up in Gaza, the Gaza Strip, until 2007. Born in 2000, until 2007 I lived in Gaza, which is basically an open-air prison. And in 2007 we had to leave due to a civil war. We went to Jordan. And then I grew up in Jordan, graduated high school, came to the US, joined the frat, and I met you.
So we'll start there. Let's start there.
Start there, man.
So, as people know, I went to Santa Barbara my freshman year of college. And Marwan is currently at Santa Barbara. I transferred out after my first year. I got out.
Yeah, he didn't like it.
Marwan stayed. But the way that we did meet, and as striking as it might be to some people, we don't strike people, I think, as the general frat type, frat boy type.
No, man, I'll tell you, like I joined because I thought that's what you had to do. Literally, that's what I thought. You had to join a frat, and you had to. Bro, it was my third day in America.
Well, yeah, it was my third day in Santa Barbara.
For me, America.
That's crazy.
Third day in America, and
you had never been to America before this?
No, I had, but it was my third day living in America.
Okay.
And I did the rush thing, and then we joined that. We're not gonna say names, right? But like weird, bro. I hope you're not watching this. It's not weird. It just was not my vibe.
There's a couple that I love.
Yeah, me
Shout
too.
out to Dion.
Yes, yes, sir.
But yeah, it was. I think we're in the same boat. I think we both never really knew. I think we both didn't expect to join frats. And I think that when you go to a new place, and for you, like, you're literally living in a new country for the first time, so that's even more different than my experience.
Yeah.
But you're trying to make friends and, find a way, and it seemed like doable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so Marwan and I ended up at the same one in Santa Barbara.
And we would talk shit about.
And we would talk shit in French because we both speak French. As he mentioned, his mom is half French. Or your mom's half French.
Half French, yeah, my mom.
And so. So I always felt, well, you were the one reason that kept me in there probably.
Yeah, I remember
for like 4 weeks.
4 weeks.
And Dion was the other. So shout out again to Dion. But yeah, it was it's funny now looking back on it, and the fact that we're both here right now. And I always knew from when I met you, I think, you know what I remember? There was one time we were cleaning the front sidewalk.
Yeah.
And I had asked you like what you wanted to do, because I could tell, as opposed to some of the other individuals that I'm not gonna name, that you had a very big drive and that you were passionate and smart. And I could tell that no matter what you were gonna do, it was gonna be successful. Yes. And that I wouldn't say it if I didn't mean it. And I asked you what you wanted to do, and I think you said something in the realm of either Prime Minister of Palestine or something.
President. Man.
President.
I mean, we don't have a Prime Minister. We do have a Prime Minister, but I just wanted that. I was in a different mindset then. I just wanted to represent my people. Right. And I still do, but I've found a lot of different ways to do that that's not involved with politics. Politics is very messy, especially back home. But yeah, that's it's always been since I was 13. I'm like, I'm going to be president of Palestine. That's what I'm going to do.
So where did that how do you say it? that drive and love for Palestine and wanting to represent your people first come from?
It came from living there. Yeah, I grew up, I had the privilege of growing up in Gaza because a lot of Palestinians don't have the privilege of ever visiting their homeland. You know, like a lot of Palestinians in the diaspora, there's around, we're 11 million people, you know, worldwide, and a lot of them have never visited Palestine. They're not allowed to. And I was able to live there, even though I'm only 1/4 genetically Palestinian. My heart is completely Palestinian. I mean, you see all these tattoos and stuff. Like I'm just completely.
You have Palestinian passport?
Yeah. It's complicated, but I do have a Palestinian passport, and the drive to represent my people just comes from a love for the people, and also this this responsibility that I feel to fight injustice wherever I see it. As a Palestinian, I always say this, we have a responsibility to fight injustice, which is why, you know, we sympathize, or South Africans sympathize with us, why we sympathize with, you know, the Black Lives Matter movement here. There's all these connections, and it's always about fighting injustice because we are on the receiving end of a lot of injustice. And it's always been for me, like, what else do you want in life? You know, we're humans, we're meaning-seeking creatures. And as a Palestinian, I feel like we have our meaning. Our meaning is to fight injustice.
Now, remind me, you were born, where were you born?
In Jerusalem, Palestine.
Okay, and then you lived there until 2007?
I lived in Gaza in 2007.
And then where'd you go from there?
Jordan.
And how long
It's a neighboring country. 2007, 2018, so like 11 years.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where I was like brought up in Jordan. The funny thing is I grew up playing football, soccer, and I played for this team that was a Palestinian refugee camp team. So, and like I would go literally almost every day to the Palestinian refugee camp and interact with refugees on the daily. So I still had that connection to Palestine because they were all Palestinian, you know? And in Jordan, there's this weird identity crisis in the country because most of the population is of Palestinian origin. They were kicked out of Palestine in 1948. They had to leave to Jordan. And so there's this divide between Jordanians, like purebred Jordanians, and Palestinians, even though Palestinians constitute a majority in the country. It's a very weird dynamic. And so Jordanians kind of sometimes make you feel like you are not part of the country, you're Palestinian, you know, even though we can't go back to our country, which is kind of funny. But yeah, I always had this bond with Palestine, even though I haven't been back to Gaza since 2007. I'm not allowed, yeah.
And so why are you not allowed?
Because we left illegally. So in 2007, there was kind of like a government overthrow. So there's two political factions, main political parties in Palestine, Fatah and Hamas. And there was sort of a civil war in 2007 to gain control over the Gaza Strip. Hamas overthrew Fatah, and you know, it was very dangerous for us to stay. There was a lot of things that happened with my mother and my father. My mom's not even Palestinian, and she was like, why the fuck am I here? You know, like, car got shot at. So we lived in a hotel because my father built a hotel in Gaza. The hotel got shot at. I mean, it was just very sus to be there in that time. I didn't understand that. I was 7 years old. But we had to dip. I mean, it just wasn't safe anymore. It wasn't worth the risk. Even though Gaza is, to me, the most beautiful city in the world. My kids will be born there. But right now, I mean, we're safe here in New York City.
And so that was the other thing that I told you even off air that I'm really excited about on having you on is I think you're educating everyone, but right now I'm talking to you. So this will be more educational for me as well. Because I think that what's beautiful also, I think, in what you're doing now, and obviously, you know, I see all this stuff on social media, and I was waiting to have you in front of me to hear more about it. Is through all the different things that you're doing, it's all, I think, tied back to that ultimate goal of helping the Palestinian
of alleviating suffering. I think that's the main goal, because when you see suffering firsthand, it's different than just hearing about it.
What kind of suffering did you see firsthand?
You see the conditions that people live in and the lack of hope. That's the thing that kills me, man.
So describe the conditions first.
I mean, where in Gaza? In Gaza, it's just right now. I mean, the poverty is around 55%. Unemployment is also 45%. The suicide, you know, you don't really talk about mental health in these kinds of places. It's not. It's taboo in Gaza, but also, you know, you step out and then you think about there's a generation of kids that have grown up with PTSD since they're literally 3 years old, because they've seen their parents get killed in bombs, their brothers, their sisters, and they grow up with PTSD and they grow up with all these mental health conditions. And they can't talk about it, and the world doesn't care. Right? So then in Gaza, it leads to a situation where you have around 85% of the population that has stated that they have thought about killing themselves, suicide. 85% of the population, 2 million people in this little densely populated area, and they all would think about killing themselves, which is crazy, man. And mental health, yani, it's a very, very important topic that I think we never discuss, because it's, for some reason, it's taboo back home. But our generation now, this is interesting, I always say this, our generation, we've grown up in an era where we can see other people suffering, which is different than our parents, because you can go on your phone and you can actually empathize with someone that you've never met. You can empathize, you can understand. I can go on my phone and I can see George Floyd and I can be like, oh my goodness, I understand why they're doing this. What, you know what I mean? Our parents didn't really have that. They didn't have the constant updates and like videos. You know, you see videos of the police beating the shit out of protesters, like, oh my God, and it's different. So our generation, I think it's cool because we have this thing called empathy. And I think empathy is beautiful because it helps you understand a lot of things about other people that you wouldn't have if we didn't have technology. That's
so you think our generation's more empathetic?
100%. Yeah, 100%. I think the downside of technology is just the business model of social media. The way that you have to show ads and you have to keep the users hooked in order to make money.
Don't you think that has made us also very numb at the same time? Like, how many times have we seen, and I mean, the George Floyd was especially gruesome, right? But they're all equally as bad, you know?
Yeah.
But we see them and of course there's that moment of crazy sadness. But then it almost feels like, because social media is so easy and we can scroll and we can see, that we've become, at least personally, the way I see it, we've become quite numb to a lot of sad things that maybe, you know, if we were in front of them, we would have more of a reaction.
Yeah, I get that point, but I will counter that by saying that our parents didn't even have the videos in front of them. That's true. Right? And so the fact that we've gotten numb is a problem within itself, but I think it's a better problem to have than not even ever understanding.
No, yeah,
for example, Armenia, Azerbaijan, you know, like, you think our parents would have known when they were our age what's going on in Azerbaijan? No. And so I think what's wrong with social media is it's literally just the business model. And I think that technology can be humane when you switch the model from time spent, right? That's their model, Facebook, Instagram. They just want to stay. So then they manipulate you, and then they use these dopamine tricks to keep you hooked and stuff. And it's an addiction, right? When your parents blame you for your, like, I always remember my mom was like, oh, you always on your phone. And I thought it was something wrong with me.
And you check your screen.
But then I realized, but then I realized that it's designed to keep you addicted. Yeah. And I was 14, 15. Of course I'm going to get addicted. It's very easy to get addicted at that age, you know? And it's a byproduct of the business model. So if you switch the business model from, okay, we have to, you know, it's attention. What they're selling is attention to advertisement.
And right? If we switch it from time spent to quality of time.
Time well spent is what I say. Right. And that's what we're trying to do with Grow Home, which is my business. And we can talk about that if you want.
Talk, please.
So Grow Home, it's a culmination of like everything that I am passionate about. And basically, I always say this, you know,
is it one word?
Grow Home, one word.
One word.
Grow Home. And basically, I'll give you guys a bit of background. As a diaspora, so Palestinians, we're a very large diaspora. Diaspora means someone that's living outside their country of origin. So Palestinian living in the US, I am a diaspora. It stems from, you know, the original Jewish exile from Babylon. And as diasporas, we acquire a lot of resources, both intellectual and financial, that we're not using for the betterment of our people back home. Like, there's a lot of Palestinians working at Google, for example, that, you know, like, they have all these skills and all this money and they're just not doing shit.
You're saying Palestinians that work at Google in this country?
Yeah, in the US and Germany and wherever we are, right? Where there's a bit large Palestinian diaspora, especially in Latin America as well, in like Chile, in Brazil, Argentina, but also in the US, in the UK, in Australia, and in the Gulf countries. But what we want to do at Grow Home is we want to harness the power of the diaspora. So what we've created is we've created a platform to connect diasporas with intellectual and financial resources to entrepreneurs back home. Because in Palestine, there's a very big and booming entrepreneurial ecosystem. And I think as, you know, entrepreneurship, you're solving problems. That's what you're doing. You're solving problems and you're generating revenue. And I am all for entrepreneurship is so cool, and it's a relatively new concept, right? You know, just building something and making money. And so what we want to do is there's people that want to help. I call it survivor's guilt. Diasporas, we want to help. You know, I go how to help Palestine on Google. What comes up? Petitions. I can share something on my Instagram story. I'm very limited in what I can actually do. So what we, said is what better, something that you can do that's not very hard is to, number one, promote entrepreneurship, but also give all the things that you've acquired to entrepreneurs back home so that they can actually make a change. Because who's better suited to solve a problem in Palestine? Is it the Swiss International Bank or the International Agency, or is it a Ghazawi? The Ghazawi knows what Gaza is facing and how to solve those problems. For example, Majd Mashharawi, she's this Ghazawi entrepreneur. She created this thing called green cake box, I'm pretty sure. Or no, green cake mix. And it's basically a replacement for cement, because in Gaza there's an economic blockade. You can't import or export anything, right? Cement is very hard to get in. And what she created is a mix that's made from rubble and ash. That's very cheap to make. And it's also, you can build houses out of rubble and ash. Isn't that insane? Wow. And she's making money now, and she went to Japan and all this shit. So what I'm saying is, imagine the human capital that can be unleashed from connecting a Palestinian business exec working at Google in Silicon Valley with an entrepreneur in Gaza.
Okay, so explain how that would work.
It's a platform. It's literally, you get on, and right now we're in MVP. We're going to be launching our first product in January, inshallah. And basically you log on as a diaspora. So you're French, right? Let's say France is on the thing. You would log in, you say, I'm French, I have these kinds of skills, I work in this industry, and I want to either collaborate, I want to mentor, and I want to potentially fund some of these entrepreneurs. Our algorithm kind of picks all that up and pushes out opportunities that are coming from back home. So let's say I'm a TikTok star, right? I have 40,000 followers.
I know. I was watching a TikTok the other day.
Yeah?
The day in the life.
Yeah, day in the life. Let's say I'm a TikTok star. I put TikTok, and then someone in Gaza is like, oh, I'm looking for someone on TikTok to promote my business. Okay, I've actually helped out back home, right? I've actually helped this guy or this girl do something. I've contributed. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking to contribute. And you can go to people that are from Albania that are living abroad. You can go to people from India, Ireland. Everyone wants to help out back home. So we're kind of, number one, democratizing opportunity. Right. That's what I call it, because I'm not better or smarter than anyone. I just had an opportunity to leave Gaza, to come here. It's all about opportunities. Right. And opportunities, they're not like on clouds. They're attached to people. Right. So if you actively connect people that are looking to help and that are creating things, the human capital that can be unleashed is actually, the potential is very scary. Scary in a good way. Right. It's huge, man. And
so how did this idea kind of come about?
Because I'm the user. I am the end user. And me and my co-founder, Timothy Mott, I hope he's watching this. He had the idea of, these entrepreneurs in these developing nations, they don't have any opportunities. Let's try and help them. That was the initial idea. And then as a diaspora myself, I was like, we need to focus on the diaspora. We need to focus on creating these connections between people that are living outside their countries of origin that want to help. Because you go to any Palestinian, you say, you want to help Palestine? They'll be like, of course, right? So you go, you connect the people that want to help, once again, with the people that need the support, basically. And I'm the end user, man. I don't know how to help Palestine. It's so annoying. Now I do through music and stuff, but the average person is very limited in the things that they can do for Palestine.
Now, as someone who's growing, as a young person who's growing an idea like this, what have been some of the challenges that you've faced? 'Cause I'm sure that there's a lot.
As for business?
From a business perspective.
What's been a challenge? Honestly, I would say one of the biggest challenges is sort of nailing down business models, because when you're a social impact driven business, you're like, oh, I don't care about the money, whatever, but you need a solid business model, and we're still working on it, and we've kind of figured out. I don't really want to talk about it too much because it might change in tomorrow, but it's you really, for me, man, I'm not a business major. I'm international relations, right? I've never done business before, and I learn as I go. LinkedIn learning courses, talking to people. I've taken a lot of information, and it's amazing. It's amazing. But sometimes you don't realize that you need a financial financial projection sheet for the next 5 years for this, or you need to, like, there's things that you don't know, because I'm 20 and I'm not very well established or well versed in business, but at the same time, it's so fun. It's so fun, man. It's like, this is what we're going to do. We're incorporated as a Delaware C Corp. We're an actual company now, which is so cool. Like, I'm a business owner, guys. I'm literally a business owner.
So talk to me about some of those fun aspects, those things that you've loved or learned really as you've gone.
I mean, what's cool is that you're creating something that you're working to create something that you've come up with, right? And then you also have that North Star of, like, I'm helping people, because, I mean, there's some businesses, it's always cool to build a business, but when it's social impact driven, because a lot of people don't think that you can merge social impact and profit. Mm-hmm. I'm a big believer in that. I'm a big believer that you can make money by solving real life problems, and I think one of the issues with NGOs is that they're very donor dependent. Mm-hmm. It's like, the donor is going to give us this much money so we can do this. And I know this firsthand because my mom works at the UN, and she works more specifically she used to work at the United Nations Reliefs and Works Agency, Palestinian refugees. And in 2017, I think, or 16, Donald Trump cut $300 million in aid. Wow. And my mom had to travel personally around the world, 60 countries around, to recoup that. She went to, like, Japan, she went to Saudi, she went to all these places to try and recoup that $300 million. And it took away from, what they're actually supposed to be doing, because they needed that money. So that's always, and the bureaucracy is just, I hate it. I hate bureaucracy in that sense. So to build a business, I can do whatever I want to do, I'm going to do it. Right? And my team, whatever they want to do, they can do it. And we're all building something that's greater than us, because we're helping people, but we're also going to make money. So it's really, it's such a new concept, social impact driven businesses. And that's the future, though. I mean, you look at millennials, the way that they spend their money, the way that they buy, it's all about, social impact. Or thrifting is huge now. Mm-hmm. Why? Because fast fashion is a fucked up industry, right? And we see it through our phones. Our parents didn't care, but now we understand the implications that fast fashion has, and so we're thrifting now. So I think in the next 10 years, if your business is not centered around social impact, you don't stand a chance. Like, you really don't. That's just my opinion, but I mean, you look at the trends and stuff.
Now, how many people? So it's you.
It's me, my co-founder, and we have 1, 2, 3. We have like 4 other people. We have 2 software engineers, a marketing guy, and business and development. Her name is Zara. Shout out to Zara.
Shout out to Zara. And so, okay, so where do you go from here? How do you?
Yeah. So what's really cool? So we've been we're working on the product, which is a website and like an actual web app where you can go and interact and make these connections, kind of like LinkedIn. And pre-MVP, what we're doing is we've created events. I call them Palestinian Shark Tank. I can't officially call them that because like the trademark. But basically, we invite 3 Palestinian entrepreneurs or 3 entrepreneurs. We're going to do a Jordanian one next week. I invite 3 Palestinian entrepreneurs, and then they pitch their businesses to diasporas. So we market it to the diaspora, old and young, whatever. And then at the end of their pitch, they say, I'm looking for this, this, and this. I'm looking for tech support. I'm looking for $30,000 in pre-seed, and I'm looking for this. And what's crazy, we had one last week, is that the diaspora is actually, I mean, I'll show you this after, but we had an event where there was this girl, Abir Yunus. She's creating kind of like a Depop in Gaza. Okay. And she said, I need support in marketing and I need a contact in Saudi Arabia. And through this event, she got that. There was a guy that was like, yo, Abir, I love your idea and I'm going to help you with marketing and I have a contact for you in Saudi Arabia. And there was another entrepreneur that was developing a ecotourism platform. And he's like, I need a lot of money. And it was my father actually on the call. He was like, yo, have you ever talked to the World Bank? And then the guy's like, no. And he's like, okay, I'm going to put you in contact with this guy from the World Bank because they really want to invest in ecotourism. So I think this is perfect for you. And just like that, he might be getting like $90,000, just from that one phone call. And so imagine you could multiply that and go to different countries, Lebanon. I mean, the model is scalable to every single country in the world. Every country in the world has a diaspora. I always say, wait until we hit Somalia. Wait until we hit Nigeria. Yeah. It's going to be insane, bro.
Wow. Wow. Now, how could someone who's listening to this right now like, damn, this motherfucker's got some good ideas. How could they help or grow it or reach out or like, you know?
I mean, just follow us on Instagram and LinkedIn. We have a lot of content that's cool too. Like we make content that's catered towards either diasporas or entrepreneurs in the regions that we're focusing on right now, which is Lebanon, Jordan, and Palestine.
So they can follow you.
Follow them on Instagram, LinkedIn. At Grow Home. We'll put it up. At Grow Home. Yeah.
And so okay, now question to challenge you a little bit. How is it different? I mean, I kind of know. Well, why would someone choose to spend their time on Grow Home as opposed to a LinkedIn? And how much different is it? So, I can tell it's different, but I just want to hear the.
No, 100%. It's a very valid question. The main difference is that on LinkedIn it's a network, and you know LinkedIn Premium you pay for the network, for the valuable network. The difference with Grow Home is that as an entrepreneur, number one, you're logging in and you have people that are actively seeking to help you. On LinkedIn, you don't really have that dynamic, but you go on Grow Home and you put, you know, I need someone to help me with marketing. And then the value is within the network of the diaspora that are actively looking to contribute their skills, financial and intellectual, right? So there's a very different dynamic, because the dynamic on LinkedIn is, okay, like I'm going to reach out to this person, hope he answers, hope she answers. I'm going to post this, whatever. But on LinkedIn, you can't. There's no like centralization of the process of connecting people in the diaspora to entrepreneurs back home. Because we're very clear, and we only have two functions. Literally, as a diaspora, you log on, and then you just have opportunities that have been curated for you based on the skills that you said you have and where you're from. You log on as a diaspora, and you just have, this person is looking for this. This person is looking for this. You know what I mean? It's very different in the sense that like the dynamic of what you're going on to do is. I love LinkedIn. I love it. I use it all the time. We're not replacing LinkedIn. We're just creating another platform where people can go to make long-term sustainable connections with people from their homeland. You got it?
Gotcha. Okay. And now, what do you talk about this stuff with your parents? Do they?
Of course. Yeah.
What's their reaction?
Well, my father was on the Palestinian pitch night a week ago. He loves it. He loves it. My mother also loves it. I mean, everyone I talk to loves it. I mean, it's a really. I'll say it, it's a very good idea, you know? And it's very exciting, and every day I wake up and I'm like excited to work on it.
When did you first start
quarantine? Man, we made the most, like I remember I was telling you how I want to start podcasts and stuff, but I kind of tailored off on that. I started making a lot more music, and I started working on Grow Home, and that's kind of what I'm doing right now. And so what is
well, they go to your TikTok to find the day in the life, but what is the day in the life now like? I mean, you know, schedule wise to try to, because you still have to finish up classes. Yeah, I know, I feel you. We can talk about that at the end.
Kind of. I don't know. It's online. It's not very difficult. I'll just do an hour or two a week, to be honest, and I finish it. I'm school, and I say
Santa
this.
Barbara, you take 3 classes,
bro. School is not difficult for me, you know? And I've told my parents, I'm like, yo, let me drop out. But at the end, I have an F1 visa, so I can't stay in America if I'm not enrolled in my courses. So they're like, khalas, just finish it, you know? Like, and so I'll finish it. I'll graduate. No, I'm blessed, honestly, to be in this school. I'm not going to say that, oh, fuck school. But,
no, I know.
But it's also not what, it's not going to lead me anywhere. I know that my degree is not going to help me.
Right.
I just know it. I know that I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to make music, etc., etc. But it's also, you know, just to finish it.
So wait, because I remember when I was at Santa Barbara, how much spare time I had. Bro. You have 3 classes, right?
I have 4 this semester, I think.
But like generally,
no, 3.
You're on the trimester system. Trimester, basically.
Quarter.
Yeah, but it's basically trimester.
It's basically trimester.
And so for people listening out there, if you want to go to Santa Barbara, this is how I'll pick Santa Barbara. You're in a beautiful place, unbelievable weather. You have 3 classes that you're only required to take 3 classes, which most universities is 4 because they're on a trimester system. But it's really like, I remember how much time I had. I mean, it's remarkable.
I love it. Yeah, I can work on my music. I can work on my business and not even worry about school. But I mean, because I'm not in STEM too. The STEM people, it's a whole different ball game. But alhamdulillah, I'm not in STEM.
Have you enjoyed Santa Barbara? Really?
Bro, I enjoy everything. I enjoy everything I do. I'm not one to say like, oh, because it's all like about experiences. You know, like I enjoyed the frat experience, even though you look back at it, you're like, that was so dumb. I enjoyed it, man. I wouldn't have.
Did you go to the other one?
Yeah, I joined another one too.
But are you still not?
No,
Oh yeah.
no. It's just weird, bro. I was finding myself, guys.
No, but explain that, because that's also something that we haven't really even fully, I don't think, fully spoken about. Well, there's that, but there's another thing I'm gonna talk to you about after. But in terms of like the frat experience, or at least the college experience in the United States, because it was your first time when you came to Santa Barbara, it was your first time living in the States. How different has it been than what you expected?
Well, for me, like the only thing I knew about frats is like the movies and stuff,
Yeah.
you know, like and the reason why I chose the frat that we went to is just because it had a bit of diversity.
Right, that's
all
true.
the others are so white, and I came,
100%.
and it was my third day in America, and I just saw these guys like, yeah, dude, let's fucking go, and I was like, not my vibe. The one that we joined turned out to be like weird, and then I joined another one that was also, it was more diverse, but then you still have this overarching feeling of, as a non-white, I'm like intruding into your space.
Oh, that,
you know what I mean?
Okay.
It's annoying, man. But at the end of the day, you can let that, like, do your thing. It's not.
So you had that feeling when you were
Always. I'm different. I'm like not like you guys. I'm different, and they make you feel that way too. But
and you felt like they made you feel like unwanted.
No, not unwanted,
but just different.
Just different.
And you didn't like.
And it's fine. No, it's not that I didn't like it. It's just like it was a point that was always made.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because I'll tell you another thing about Americans. They talk about nothing, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, they literally, like they talk and they talk, especially these frat and sorority people. They just, since I think it's to do with the fact that they've never experienced like adversity.
Right.
And so they just talk about nothing. They have nothing to talk about. You know, they haven't really reached that, the very surface level.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not gonna generalize, but that's been my experience at least, where I have a hard time making conversation because I'll start talking about like politics or like, you know,
right.
like, and they're like, oh my God, like I don't want to touch that with a 10,
right.
What is it?
10-foot pole.
10-foot pole. I'm like, okay, khalas, don't touch it.
No, I think it's that, and I think I always tell when people ask me why don't you like Santa Barbara, it's like what you're explaining on steroids, and like it's this idea that I had the feeling that a lot of the kids that were going, it's a great school, don't get me wrong, but you had a feeling that a lot of the kids that at least within the frat or the people that we were interacting with, they did school to then go drink.
Yeah,
you know, like
facts.
like they only did things to go then have fun, and I'm all for having fun. I think anybody with a pulse wants to have fun, but I think that there's no balance there,
and there's no also like passion for anything,
right?
And there's no people, like there's no driven people. That's why I'm so glad that I met my co-founder Tim, because he took me out of this rut. He was like, yo, like because he saw the potential straight away, but then he saw me, you know, doing all this frat stuff, and then he was like, bro, you're gonna drink on Tuesday you know, and then I realized, I was like, bro, I have to get back on track. And now I think that I'm fully on track, but before I wasn't. And I'm not saying that I regret it. I'm saying that these people are just not on track.
Come a little closer.
Yeah.
There you go. No, and I think to that point as well, and I've had this conversation, and I haven't had it with you, so I'm curious to get your take. I think that the thing that I think disappoints is the right word.
Yeah.
About, I'd say college kids all over the country, because that's who our friends are. Yeah. You feel like you're from 18 to 22 years old that you're gonna be in college for the most part.
Yeah.
And it feels like they're wasting their most precious years away. And I think that for people like myself who have everything that they could ever want and more, I grew up comfortable, more like I have nothing to complain about. Yeah, the adversity here and there, but I have nothing to wait, that's real quick. It's a little loud. Did you just turn it up? We'll just cut that. Is it back? Yeah. Okay. You felt like it got louder too?
It did get louder. But I mean, I like it.
Okay. What was I saying? Okay, I know what I was saying. No, so I feel like the issue really is that for a lot of people, they go to college, they're gonna have it paid for it fully. They're gonna have living situation paid for fully. eating everything they could ever want, and they go and they waste, and they have, I mean, think about it. We had especially in Santa Barbara, so much spare time. You go to class for maybe 2 hours a day. You have maybe 45 minutes of homework, and you sleep for 8 hours. So 3 plus 8 is 11. Okay. There's 24 hours in a day. 13 other hours of that day, okay, you could chill and do whatever. But like, come on. You know what I mean? Start something, do something. And that's why, I think that's why I gravitated towards you. And I think that's why I respect you. And you know, you're the only person I talk to from Santa Barbara, because I think you picked up on that. And I think that part of the reason is because you realized the opportunity that you had, right? And I think that it's sad that a lot of kids our age don't pick up on that.
But it's also, I mean, yeah,
they go through the week to drink. That's the end goal is to get drunk at the end of the week, and then it's just a cycle.
Yeah, it's sad.
I don't know.
I don't know what else to say about that.
It's just that's something that I rant about to all my friends. But because you're my first guest that's in college, that in this day and age too. And especially with the pandemic. I mean, we don't even go to class anymore. There's not even that hour that you spend going to and from.
But I'm grateful, man, because I'm just grateful to have met the people that I met.
Right.
Because without that, I don't think I'd be where I am today. Like, just to be in the States and stuff is so cool. And like yesterday I was in DC for a business meeting. Like, that's just insane.
So what was the business meeting?
For Grow Home, for a lot of other things that I can't really disclose. We could talk about it for dinner. Because big business moves.
Now I also feel like, and I had watched, which one did I watch? I think it was in July. You were on a podcast, I believe.
In July?
Might have been June. Okay. It was something in this summer.
Okay.
Because I remember where I was. I was with, whatever, doesn't matter. And it was, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, it was you. There was a mediator.
Oh, you mean the debate?
The debate.
A conversation.
Yeah. And I think the other, it was like an Israeli.
Yeah, two Israelis.
It was two Israelis?
Yeah, Adar is Israeli and so is Rudy.
I might have seen, I think it was Rudy.
Rudy Rockman. Shout out to Rudy.
And I think what I loved about watching that was how open-minded you are and willing to listen, especially on a topic that's obviously means a lot to you. And secondly is obviously heavily debated. And thirdly, in our day and age where people are quick to rush to conclusions, for you to still have that open-mindedness. And I think that that's pretty remarkable.
Thank you.
So what has that been like? Because now you've taken on a little, especially like, you know, the TikTok and the this, correct me if you see it differently, not the role, but this, I guess, identity of a Palestinian activist.
Yeah, I mean, I would
you say that?
I would say it's influencer.
Okay.
I like the
You like that
influencer,
word?
activist. I don't know, man. I feel like I influence people.
Okay, fair.
Like I do, straight up.
Fair.
And I Palestine is such a big part of my identity that I don't even think about it. It just and I was watching this reaction that these guys did to one of my songs, Jerusalem Freestyle, and they were talking about how in the song they got to know me and they understood that Palestine was a big part of who I am. So it's not that I'm like, how to say, yes, I'm an activist, but it's just ingrained in who I am. So I don't want to say, I'll say I'm an activist, but deep down, that's just who I am. And I can't really control that. So I mean, it's going to be, the rest of my life is going to be like this. And I've understood that. And also I'm very grateful because I can articulate myself well, which I feel like intentionally they will bring on people, especially like in this older generation, the American media will bring on people that don't really know how to articulate themselves in English, especially, to represent the Palestinians. And it just annoys me because I've never had, apart from Edward Said, who is he was a professor at Columbia University, I've never had like a role model as a Palestinian, you know? I've never had that. Like I never looked up to anyone Palestinian, and it's such a shame.
Why is that?
Because we don't really have many people. Like if you actually think about it, like, yeah, we have Mahmoud Darwish, who was a poet, and there's all these, but for me, I just never grew up with that role model until later on when I started to read a lot and I really got into Edward Said's literature and his work. Now he is definitely my role model and, you know, what I strive to be. But growing up, and it's really funny because literally yesterday I try to answer all my Instagram DMs, and I had a guy send me a message saying, you know, it's so cool, even though we're the same age, like I've never had a role model to look up to in terms of Palestine, and now I found you.
Wow.
And it was so humbling, man. And I get these messages and it just like, I'm like, fuck, I haven't done anything. Like for me, I still have not done anything. And already people are gravitating towards me. And that's why I say influencer, because people come to me and they're like, you know, I think this was over the summer, this girl texted me and she was like, I used to be ashamed of being Palestinian. And I watched your videos and now I can say confidently that I am Palestinian and I will keep standing up for Palestinian rights and I will never shy away from my identity again. What more do I want in life?
Wow.
You know what I mean?
That's beautiful. Dude,
it's crazy, man.
It's beautiful. And I don't even want to say I'm proud of you because you should be proud of yourself. You know what I mean? That's my mom. She always says that shit to me. She's like, I hate, because that's the truth. Like I'm happy as someone who is your friend and loves you.
Yeah.
I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
But I think that you should feel good about what you're doing because regardless of how the platform goes or where it goes, or if it makes money, if it doesn't, you've at least changed lives now. And it's crazy because you're 20.
It's very humbling.
And it's humbling. And I think that at the end of the day, that's really what matters the most, you know?
And also what I really oh shit.
You're drifting.
Am I good now? How long have you been there telling me to do that? A while? I'm so sorry, man. Okay. So I was saying basically that I don't remember. Fuck. We were talking about Palestinian.
How you're changing people's lives.
Yeah. But I had something that I wanted to say.
You were telling me about the girl that reached out?
No. Is this not going to be in the
I'll edit that. For all our French listeners.
Oh, okay. Cool. So, as a Palestinian, I've never been taught my own history through the lens of a Palestinian. It's always been through a really Western perception of what it means to be Palestinian. Palestinians are always racialized, and it's weird, you know. You don't grow up, like I grew up in the American school system in Jordan. I went to a school called the American Community School.
You speak English there?
Yeah. That's why I'm fluent, because I grew up speaking English.
School is taught in English?
Yes.
Okay.
And you can't speak Arabic. It's me and Edward Said have this in common because he went to school in England. Or no, he went to school in Egypt and it was a British school and they couldn't speak Arabic. It was considered like it was just not allowed. You can't speak Arabic in class or whatever because it's disruptive. And we couldn't speak Arabic too. Like you'd get detention if you spoke Arabic, which is insane to me. And I've never been taught about Palestinian history. At school, it was considered controversial. You know, like the teachers couldn't talk about Palestine. They couldn't even teach us about Jordanian history, teach us about the fact that Jordan is not even supposed to be a country. You know, the fact that the borders are drawn by French and English colonialists. We were never taught that. I was taught about the fucking Constitution of the US and I was taught about the Civil War and slavery and whatever. But never was I taught about my own history. And that's something that a lot of Palestinians that have a very surface level understanding of. And it's not our fault, you know, like there is this campaign that's been waged against us to rob us of our identity. That's why people call us Arabs. No, I'm not. We're Palestinian. There's a difference, right? And people, that's why I'm so open about it.
Will you explain that difference for the people out there that...
Of course, Palestinian is just like, it's an ethnicity and it's, if you are from this area of the world, you are a Palestinian. Arab is a lingo, like it's kind of like a cultural linguistic group of people. You can be Moroccan and Arab, you can be Palestinian and Arab. But when you say Arab, you're stripping us away of our Palestinian identity and our connection to the land. And it's done on purpose because a lot of people want to say that we do not belong in this land. You know, we've never been here. Oh, you guys just like the Palestinian identity was created in 1967 to counter the Israelis. Like you guys aren't a real people. You know, the Prime Minister of Israel in the 60s said Palestinians do not exist. Right? And their motto, the Zionist movement's motto was a land for a land without a people, for a people without a land. The people without a land were the Jews, and the land without a people was Palestine. But that's the farthest thing from the truth. We have been in this land as Palestinians for the last 4,000 years. 4,000 years, man. And it's not like we have this, genetically pure heritage of Palestinians. That's not how the world works. That's a very Eurocentric way of looking at things, right? Nation states, right. Countries, that's very Eurocentric, right? So if a community does not subscribe to this Eurocentric standard of self-determination, you don't exist? What do you mean? What the fuck is my great-grandfather? What? He was living in Safad. He was living in northern Palestine, and he was Palestinian, And we don't learn about our own history because it's been, number one, a lot of the archives were confiscated in 1948 when we were, taken away, or when my grandfather personally had to leave Palestine due to the war and Israel's independence war. We call it the Nakba, which is the catastrophe, because 750,000 Palestinians had to leave their homes in the span of 1 year. Palestinian society was destroyed, right? And now that's why you have around 7 million refugees living all across the world. I don't consider myself a refugee, but you still have Palestinian refugee camps. 3 generations of Palestinians have been born outside of Palestine, and we still have hold that connection to Palestine. That should tell you something, right? But they try to strip us away of our identity and say that we're Arabs, say that we're, Arabian, or we're calling, like we came and we're only like Muslim too. Palestine, you can be Armenian, like there's Armenian Palestinians, right? There's Palestinians that came all the way from Africa, from Senegal. It's not this genetically pure heritage that spans. No, that's not how the world works. But we're Palestinians. We're a proud people. We have a very deep connection to the land. And that's what I try to do, just on Instagram, is to educate people. I'll do the nitty-gritty work of like reading all these things. And then I've been blessed with the gift of communication and like synthesizing information. I think I can do that very well. And I can disseminate information in the span of like 3 or 4 minutes. I'll read like 5 chapters, put it down to 2 minutes, and people enjoy that. People are like, oh my God, thank you so much for teaching me about the origins of the name Palestine. Thank you so much for teaching me about this or this and that. And I mean, I'm only starting, but that's, I think education is, and knowledge is power. So that's what I look to do, and that's what I love, is to spread knowledge about our own history through our lens, not through the lens of Europeans or, like our lens.
So speaking of, just going quickly back to that debate that I had watched.
Yes.
And with everything that you just said, how do you have a calm conversation with an Israeli about such a subject matter that's difficult, because it hits home. I mean, literally hits home.
Definitely. I think it's about intentions. So you have to think about, okay, you're having this conversation. What is your intention? My intention is to change someone's mind. My intention is not to shit on you or to make you look bad. It's to change your mind. How do you change someone's mind? Are you going to change someone's mind by screaming at them? No, that's the first thing that you should not do if you're trying to change someone's mind, right? They automatically shut off if you insult their looks or their personality or say something, and then they're not even going to listen to your argument. And then when you're speaking, they're going to be in this defensive mode, because if they concede, they're going to lose a part of what they're saying. So then it's not about the substance of the conversation. It's about like pride and stuff. And I'm not with that. Like, what I want to do is actually change people's minds, because it's real what's going on. It's very real, and it's not about ego. I don't give a fuck. I'm just trying to change your mind, and maybe you're going to change my mind. Maybe you're going to teach me a few things, right? But yes, I mean, if you're trying to change someone's mind, basically don't scream at them. That's my philosophy.
And with regards to, like, I think, so you said his name is Rudy. I think I'd say.
Yeah, Rudy.
How do you guys have any conversations off
yes.
air?
And because he's very big. Like? He's a very big Israeli activist. He has a large audience, especially with the youth. And he told me, I think this was 2 months ago, he's like, I want to invite you to have a conversation about Palestinian identity for my Israeli public. Because a lot of Israelis do not understand Palestinian identity, and they've never been taught about Palestinian identity. So you see the intentions, right? He has good intentions. We disagree about a lot of things, but he has good intentions, and that's why I talked to him.
And I think that was one of the things that I had really taken away from that discussion was I was as impressed as I was with you. I was also impressed with him because
he's great, man. He's great.
You know, it's rare, especially in this day and age. It's rare, and in this country politically, but that's a whole other conversation, that you can disagree with people and you can be friends and you can you respect him regardless of what he believes. You can disagree with him on literally everything under the sun, but you guys can respect each other. And I think that first of all, that's refreshing, but it's good to see. And I think that, quite frankly, that's the only way that you know, to progress. Because I don't.
Well, I mean, it's I don't think it's the only way.
It's at least the communication standpoint.
Yeah,
I think screaming at each other, you know, that's never. You're
right,
worked.
but then there is also this this aspect of power dynamics.
Okay.
Because I'll walk away from the conversation, still not being able to go back to my country.
Right.
So exactly. And that's what I like. There's a very big problem with like normalization, which basically means like Palestinians. A lot of Palestinians are not okay with having conversations with Israelis because you're normalizing the occupation. You're making it seem like all we need to do is talk and then we're going to be chilling and sing kumbaya. That's not the reality. The reality is there's a military occupation, right? And that needs to be addressed head on. There is a system of oppression that Palestinians have been, you know, unwillingly brought into that needs to be addressed through international law. It needs to be addressed. You know, it's not only about having conversations. I think conversations are one way, but another way, in my opinion, is economic development. And we are so stifled. I said this in my last song, in my new song that I dropped 2 days ago. I said, they stifle us economically, but fuck it, I'll buy the estate. And I really want us to start thinking like that because as diasporas, we have this power. Okay, this is a concept. If you stop thinking about Palestine as a geographical entity and you start imagining it as a global nation of 11 million people, you start to understand the power that we hold. I think it's a distinction that needs to be made. Ireland is a small ass country.
But say more about that.
No, but it's okay. To go on to the point. Ireland is a small ass country, but there's 7 million people spread across the world, right? They're so powerful. Their diaspora is insane. And so Palestinians, we have power. We need to channel it in the right direction. We need to help. It's Palestinian excellence, man. That's what I say. Palestinians need to be helping Palestinians to alleviate suffering and to do everything that we can. I'm not looking to get involved I don't have any political ambitions. You know, when I help someone, it's not because I want them to vote for me on this or that. It's purely out of a love for Palestine and the people and the land. And a lot of people have that love. So I really, with Grow Home, that's, you know, now I'm not doing really conversations with Israelis anymore because I don't think that it's effective. It's not as effective as I thought it would be. And so I've kind of restrained from doing that. And now I'm focusing on economic development within Palestine. That's what I'm doing. And there's other avenues. I'm not saying it's the only thing, but that's the thing about activism and stuff is sometimes people, like I got shot on because I didn't subscribe to someone's version of activism, which the way I said it was, you know, I do not subscribe to your ideology of preaching to your followers that already agree with you. Because that's the thing, man. Like some people just like post Instagram stories to people that already agree with them. I'm like, okay, what are you changing? You know what I mean? Like for me, the reason why I did the talk with Rudy is because I knew that a lot of Israelis would be watching it, right-wing Israelis and stuff like that. And unfortunately, they have the power. So if you can start planting those seeds, I think that's effective. Right. But at the same time, I sort of took a step back and now I'm working on Palestinians, helping Palestinians. That's really what I'm trying to do right now. And just educating ourselves about our own history. I think that is so important. And I learn every day, man. I'm not going to tell you I'm a history expert, but it's so interesting to learn about.
Now, for you, activism, because it's maybe not on par with how a lot of other people might go about activism, how would you describe yourself as an activist?
I think I do what I love, and it just people find inspiration in that. I make music, and some people would consider that activism because I talk about Palestine. I talk about important things. People draw, that's activism. People make speeches. People do community organizing, grassroots movement, all that shit. There's a lot of different avenues for activism. The important thing is not to restrict yourself. If you say this is what we need to do, everything else is bad, then I think you've lost. I think you've lost as Palestinians, some of our most some of our most talented individuals were poets, were professors, were artists. You know what I mean? So it's really important to encourage that and to not stifle the creativity, because people are drawn to music, man. Like the way I think about it, I want to be Drake and then talk about Palestine. You know, like I'll say this now, fuck it. I have a goal to go to every single country in the world and make a song with one artist from every country in the world, incorporating their culture and talking about Palestine at the same time. And making songs, for example, Malaysia, they love us in Malaysia, right? I want to go to Malaysia, make a song with a Malaysian artist, or and then incorporate some Malaysian style of music, talk about Malaysia and talk about Palestine, and solidify that brotherhood between us. You know, that'll go fucking platinum, that song, when I do it. Pakistan, Algeria.
Now,
you know?
Do you also feel like there was one point that I thought was quite interesting when you talked about don't normalize. I don't remember the exact
normalization.
Don't normalize. Yeah. Well, in that, I guess if you're Palestinian and you, I don't know exactly what you said. I don't want to butcher your words.
Yeah.
But in the sense that we can't normalize what's going on, right? Because then you just you're normalizing it, and then nothing's going to change.
I agree.
Right?
Yeah.
How do you not normalize? How do you tell a Palestinian at home? I don't know if this is something you do or don't do. Don't normalize. Be active without,
Yeah, I get you. So how do you tell a Palestinian don't normalize?
Don't normalize what's going on, but also don't. Well, I don't know if there's another part to that.
Okay, so that's tricky, because you have Palestinians that are citizens of Israel, right? Like 2 million Palestinians are citizens of Israel. Some people are like, oh, those are traitors. You know, some people, it's way cheaper for them to buy Israeli products inside Palestine. Are you going to tell a Palestinian that's struggling financially not to buy Israeli products? I don't know. That's a discussion. But the way I see it is, I'm not going to tell anyone what to do. I'm going to say, this is what I'm doing. If you like it, ahla wa sahla. If you don't like it, okay. You know, but we still have that same goal, which is the liberation of our people, the alleviation of the suffering. And so this is what I don't like about our community, Palestinians, is a lot of the time we put each other down for no reason. Like it's annoying. Like I got called like a Zionist apologist for doing that. And I'm like, yo, I'm like, we both have the same goal. Why would you try to put me down? You know what I mean? Right. Like, why would you try to cancel me over that? And it's so sad. But now I think when you start to see, you start to not see it as competition, because I think that's what it was, is that people see it as competition. You start to see it as collaboration. I'm going to collaborate with you on this. And it's a very different dynamic. It's a very different dynamic, and it allows for a lot of human capital to be unleashed on the activism side, at least.
Now, speaking of that, how is now that you're on Instagram Live, shout out to Instagram Live. How do you feel like social media has played into it? Because I think that you've done a really brilliant. I'm honestly quite jealous of how well you're utilizing social media to grow your brand. Because I think that's when you're starting something, that's a difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
How do you feel like, or what are you doing actively that you feel like has grown your brand?
Man, I'm literally just making content and people like it. Like I wake up and then I have 100 more followers, and I haven't done I don't do marketing for my brand, except for Grow Home. We have like a marketing guy, but for myself, it's crazy. I just make content and I'll post things. My ratios are also really, like, I have 13,000 followers. I get like 2,000 likes on a picture, which is really
right.
It's a good ratio.
Yeah.
And it's cool because people are engaging with me, and the thing. So shout out to Instagram Live, the people that are watching me, they engage with my content because I think they see themselves in me, and I'm saying what they've always wanted to say. A lot of Americans or Palestinian Americans, they're scared of the backlash of saying types of things that I say. And so they'll live through me. And I love that. Yeah, live through me, man. I'll be your outlet. And I talk to everyone, like everyone that sends me a message. I really try to answer everyone and to have conversations. Like that guy yesterday that said I was his role model. I called him. He sent me that voice, and I was like, oh my God. I called him and we talked, and I sent him my new song. And yeah, with social media, I just think that I'm really building a community that fucks with what I'm doing. You know,
why do you think it's resonated so much? Do you feel like it's a lot of people?
Because we don't have, like, I'll be honest with you, we don't have any Palestinians that are doing what I'm doing. And it's not to brag about what I'm doing. I'm just saying I've never seen a Palestinian that talks about like Palestinian history or that makes music.
Right.
Maybe I'm just completely missing the mark, but I think a lot of the reasons why people like what I'm doing is because of the lack of content, the lack of representation. You know, like I always say this, Hollywood never gave us a platform, so we said, fuck it, we created our own. You know what I mean? Especially with TikTok. Mm-hmm. And TikTok is such a cool avenue to disseminate information in a really like fast way. And you can say what you want about the data privacy or whatever, which is really sus. But honestly, you think about it, I always say this, imagine Nelson Mandela had TikTok. Imagine Nelson Mandela could do an Instagram live.
Yeah.
Like just the possibilities of reaching that many people just through your phone is to me insane. And I need to utilize that, and I have been. And so yeah, that's...
And I think, I mean, the TikTok thing is, I think what's also, what I love that you're getting the following on TikTok is because, well, first, because it's you. And I'm happy to see that. But also, I think secondly, because you see all these TikTok stars that have done nothing.
Yeah, bro, they dance.
And but they don't even dance.
Yeah,
bro, come on. Some of these they move their arms in three different directions.
Yep.
But I think that you're utilizing it more for the greater good.
I see social media as a tool instead of just like something like, you know what I mean?
People say it's like the devil. I don't think it is.
I don't think it is.
I think the ways in which some of the, you know, the algorithms and some of the ways in which we utilize it can be devilistic. Yeah. But I don't think inherently it's had a net positive on the world.
Yeah, you think so?
You don't think?
I couldn't say. I mean, like, how would you quantify that?
I mean, I just think that we've never been more connected, so for better or for worse, right? But I think that, you know, someone who's living in Palestine right now, they're able to see what your life is like. They're able to see.
You know what's crazy, bro? Yesterday, I had a girl that put me on her story, like the new song, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm Armenian living in Russia, and I love your song, and I resonated with it." I'm like, what?
Isn't that?
And then I was looking at my Spotify for artists, bro, and I have 600 listeners in Germany. Why? You know, but like, it's crazy to think about. There's people that I've never met that are listening to what I'm saying and that are being inspired, right? And so, and what I always say is, I'm so privileged and I'm so blessed. Instead of sitting back, I'm gonna use to the full of its capacity. I'm gonna use that privilege.
Do you feel like you now, because you have more of a following and because more of a voice and people are listening, that it's is it ever scary or daunting, or you feel more of a responsibility?
And it's not scary, but definitely there's a responsibility aspect to it. But I've always had that responsibility. I've always had a chip on my shoulder. So it's nothing new to me.
But do you feel like you need to filter yourself?
I need to filter myself?
Yeah,
no,
never.
No, never.
And where do you think that chip on your shoulder comes from?
I'm just being Palestinian. I think every Palestinian has kind of like a chip on their shoulder.
Are you ultimately hopeful and encouraged by what you're seeing? Do you think that there is an end goal for Palestine, for, you know, this conflict that seemingly, even to people that aren't a 100th as knowledgeable like myself that you are on the subject, do you feel hopeful that
very hopeful, because our generation sees suffering and sees injustice, and they do something about it, you know? And I think it's not us versus them now necessarily, because I always say this, you know, there's 7 million Israelis, 8 million Israelis living in that land. We're not gonna kick them out. We're not gonna kill them all, right? And that's, you know, for Jews, there's this deep generational trauma that they hold. And I understand, growing up in Israel, for example, if you've never interacted or met with a Palestinian and all you've seen about them is that they're terrorists and you're fed this propaganda, I understand why you would, first of all, not believe that there's anything called Palestine. Number two, hate Palestinians. I understand it, right? But now, what I try to do is I try to reach out. Instead of doubling down and saying, oh, fuck you, no, I reach out. And some people don't. But the cool thing...
How do you reach out?
by doing, for example, the talk with Rudy Rockman, we're talking about these things. People watch what people listen to what I'm saying now, which is so cool, and it's going to keep growing, hopefully, you know. And I kind of lost my train of thought, but I was just saying that I'm just hopeful. I'm hopeful, man, because our generation is just really different, in my opinion. And we might fuck it up, but my goal is to at least set up my kids for success in this time. And I know my kids will do a great job, and I want them to be born there and have the privilege of being born there. But when you stop seeing it as us versus them, you start to realize that, you know, okay, this is not 1,000-year long religious conflict like some people want you to think. It's actually, there are solutions, you know, like a lot of like international law and et cetera, there are solutions. Come on, tell me.
Well, I'm curious, not to cut you off, but
what's the solution?
Well, not just what's the solution, but in your, while staying also realistic about the situation, what is your ideal?
No, I couldn't tell you, because when there is like an agreed solution, I'll give my opinion. But right now we're not there yet. Right now, what I focus on, as I told you before, I'm not politically affiliated, and I don't like to talk about the future like that. I think it's kind of way too, like, I don't want to ignore the reality. But what I'm working on is economic development within Palestine. I think education and knowledge is power. So when people come to me and start telling me, you know, Palestine doesn't exist, I know automatically what I'm going to say, and I'm gonna fuck them, bro. I'm not gonna let them say that, and I'm gonna say it in a way where they can't say anything back, and I will shut it down. And that's what I want to do. I want to arm the Palestinian youth with the knowledge to be able to counter propaganda. That's one of my big goals, and that's why I'm very big on history and stuff, because when you have knowledge, you can do a lot of things. Knowledge is power. So what I focus on is, even through songs, is arming people with knowledge about our own heritage, about our own story, and it helps me learn as well, because it gives me, when I'm learning, it gives me this, like, I need to do this because of this. You know what I mean?
And I think, are you familiar with Hawk Newsome? Hawk Newsome?
No.
He's the co-founder of Black Lives Matter Greater New York chapter.
Oh, okay.
He's like one of the main, I guess, faces of the Black Lives Matter movement, especially these days. And he's actually one of the only people that goes on like Fox News and like, you know, like debates like more people that you wouldn't expect. And I had him on my show, and Josh probably remembers this too. One of the big things that we had talked about is, with regards to the Black Lives Matter movement, is how important and how much it would change if you just invested in these communities, right?
Man, I'm telling you, bro. Like, our next step is creating investment portfolios.
It's all that, right? Yes. If you gave some of these poor Black neighborhoods $1 billion, right? You invested in their schools. You invested in literally everything, in obviously better policing or some kind of security
But what I will
system.
say is that aid, like international aid, is dead, right? Like, the way that charity works is it's fucked, man. The way that it works, because everything is overhead costs, right? There's so many overhead costs. There's bureaucracy once again, and also there's people making decisions on behalf of these communities. It's very paternalistic,
right?
Okay, so that's why investments is way better, because investing, you're like, I believe in you. And this is another thing that I wanted to talk about, the power of someone believing in you. And I've seen it, because now I have someone that's very, you know, very successful in the entrepreneurial world and business world, and he believes in me unconditionally. It's khalas, it's set. He believes in me, and it's given me the confidence to believe that I will be Drake in the future, or I will be the future president of
Can
Palestine.
you say this person on, or no? Tell me after.
Later, yeah, I'll tell you later. But it's just crazy when someone believes in you, and someone tells you, 100%. I'm going to give you the tools for success because I believe in you. It opens up this whole part of your brain that you never thought you had.
100%.
Never thought you had, right? And so that's what I want to do. I want to democratize opportunity, because, as I said before, opportunity is not attached. It's not in the clouds. It's attached to people, right? And so let's say you had these people in Gaza, just one like life mentor, someone that believed in them and told them that they could make it and that they're going to help them, and that's their life mission. The world can change, man. I always say it. the connections that we are looking to make it grow home can actually change people's lives forever. Hopefully that's the goal.
I mean, for sure. If it creates the opportunities that they need, then you're altering their trajectory forever.
Yeah.
Now, there was one other thing that you had talked about earlier that I thought was super interesting that I wanted to touch on is with regards to identity.
Tell me.
And you had said, I don't remember exactly what you said earlier, but you said...
I said I struggle with identity. I used to.
There you go.
I do, because the way that I used to see it is like, so my grandfather from my father's side is Palestinian. His mother is Serbian, fully, right? And then from my mom's side, her father is fully Algerian and her mother is fully French. Okay. So I have these 4 countries, right? Countries, very Eurocentric. So the way of like nation states, right? And I've always thought that like my identity was divided between these 4, but I don't really have any real connection to Algeria and Serbia. Apart from having visited and knowing the culture, I don't have that much of a connection. I grew up in the Middle East. I grew up in Palestine and Jordan. I'm very connected to the Levant. And I also speak French at home. And I go to France every summer, and you know, my grandparents live there. So I'm very connected. I'm less so, but I'm connected to France. And then I started to think about identity, and I realized that it's not about countries. It's about like who you want to be. You know, identity can be, you know, I fight injustice. That's my identity. It doesn't have to be about countries, because I grew up, bro, and I was not, like, I go to France, I'm not French enough for them. I come back, I'm not Arab enough for them. So I'm like, where the fuck, like, what am I supposed to do? You know? And it's something that people that are mixed struggle with a lot. And a lot of people reach out to me and say, yo, like, this is so cool. I thought I was the only one. I don't think there's anyone in this world that is Palestinian, Serbian, Algerian, and French. I'm not sure. I haven't seen it so far. And I love it. I love being mixed, but also it does kind of like, sometimes I wish like, oh fuck, I wish I was just Palestinian. Like I wish I had that big community, or like I wish I had a tribe. I wish I was this, but you take away from the beauty. Like you can't control these things. Might as well embrace it, you know?
And so, well, I guess that answers my next question, but I don't know what are the ways in which that you have learned to embrace your identity?
Because it's so cool. It's so cool, bro. Like
especially yours, man.
Yeah,
it's such
so
a great
cool.
mix.
I'm so blessed. Like I'm blessed to be. And people like, I always ask them, where do you think I'm from? And I always get different things, and I'm like, that's funny. What's the craziest
one?
I don't know actually. Oh, I was cutting my hair in LA last week, and this woman, I knew she was Iranian. I just off the bat, and she's cutting my hair. We're obviously hitting it off. She's this old Iranian woman, and I'm like, her name was Faye. I was like, Faye, where are you from? She's like, I was gonna ask you the same thing, and I was like, okay, where do you think I'm from? She's like, are you from Israel? I was like, oh, I was like, fuck, you're close. And then she's like, oh, where are you from? I was like, Palestine. She's like, oh, Palestine, we love Palestine. I was like, yeah. And then I was like, you're Persian? She's like, yes, how you know? I was like, I know. But yeah, that was funny. That was last week.
I still think, so the podcast, I think now with where you're at, I feel like you starting a podcast could be.
Yeah, but bro, I have a lot of other things.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the thing too.
Maybe later.
Is that you, you know, not.
This is what we do. With Grow Home, we kind of have like a live podcast. We have fireside chats. Yeah. So 2 weeks ago, I brought in this guy called Kingsley Akins, who is a diaspora expert. He's Irish. And we just had a conversation like this. And it was a webinar. There was like 40 people. So that's kind of podcasts, but it's more related to the business and diasporas. And next on Tuesday, is tomorrow Tuesday?
I think so, right? Yeah.
Tomorrow we have Marwan Alawi, who is a Palestinian woman entrepreneur. She's great, and she's going to talk about entrepreneurship under occupation, which is really cool. So that's kind of a podcast.
Now, if I say, this will come out in like a week or so. Basically December 2020. December 2021, where do you hope Grow Home is at?
Grow Home?
Yeah.
I think we're going to be across the MENA region, so Middle East, North Africa. I think we'll have like headquarters, hopefully in Tunisia, Morocco, but also in Syria and Lebanon. We really want to focus on the Arab world at the beginning. But the cool thing is it's a platform, so it's really easy to scale up right? You don't need to do much. We just need teams in these different countries to kind of manage the entrepreneurs. So we're gonna be big, man, like in a year. But the one thing that I will say is that I don't like to plan that far ahead. I have no clue what will happen, but I do have some goals that like kind of ground me.
I mean, think about where you were a year ago,
bro.
right?
What was I doing? What was 2019?
December 20.
We were doing Afterthought. Me and Tim. Afterthought was.
I remember. I think we hopped on a call.
Yeah.
Remember? I think we had talked about that.
Yeah. Afterthought is like an international affairs think tank, student-run think tank.
Right. And
Yeah,
I think
man.
ultimately it's like, it's even if it doesn't work, like even if these things don't work, you know what I
bro,
mean?
it's an experience.
It's an
like,
experience, and you're learning from something.
For example, I had Pigeon, so me and Tim tried.
It was the Pigeon. That was what you had called me about too.
Yes, so we started Pigeon from like we started in November actually, so around this time last year, and we ended in March of. So we wasted 5 months of our lives, kind of, but I don't see it as wasted, right? Because we learned so much about business, about everything, and some people would be like, "Oh, but you know, like it didn't work." But this is a thing that I hate about our community, especially in the Arab world, is that we see failure as something really shitty.
Right.
I love failure. I mean, I don't love it, but like, this is what I always say. What I always say is like, you can only learn from doing things and then failing. And what you need to do is to fail fast and keep going and learn from your mistakes. And we don't have that in the Arab world. We have a system, for example, the education system. When you graduate, you have one test. C'est comme le bac. It's like the bac in France a bit, where you have all your, but it's even more fucked because you have all your lessons in one test, like all your subjects. One test, and it's like 4 hours, I think.
Yeah, just to clarify for people who are listening, basically the baccalaureate in France, at least, is at the end of, I believe, your high school experience. You take one set of tests for like a week, and it's like the most rigorous thing on earth, and you can't basically go to college if you don't pass.
Bro, and it's the same thing in the Arab world, and I hate it. And I think that education now is lagging because it's about knowledge transfer, right? That's what schools are. It's knowledge transfer, but this is a much better tool for knowledge transfer than any teacher. And so teachers, in my opinion, teachers need to be focusing on problem solving. I think that's the thing that we need to focus on, and we need to start creating institutions that focus on problem solving and solutions-based learning. For entrepreneurship, man, like you think about AI and all this shit, AI will not replace entrepreneurship. It just won't, because entrepreneurship is solving problems. And so that's why I want to create a university. I want to have my own university and hopefully franchise it across the world. And it would be modeled after the African Leadership University, where they teach soft skills. Soft skills are what employers are going to be looking for in 2 years, even now, bro.
Right.
You know, like it's really like it's soft skills, but it's important to know how to communicate. Really important.
Well, I think we need more
networking, bro. We don't teach networking.
I think that's actually, I had this conversation with, I forget who, recently. But it's like a lot of these young people throw the word networking the way they throw the word pencil. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I'm like, what does it mean to network? You added them on LinkedIn? And? You know what I mean? How many other connections they have? 1,500? I think that we've, especially in this country, because it's done, and this gets to a whole other topic we don't even have time for, but because of the heavy capitalistic mindset, you're just valuing the paper degree at the end, right? And that paper degree doesn't even matter at the end. So I think that there's a big issue, and I think this is the conversation going back to it, of what really matters of what we're getting out of our college experience. You know, is it when people say, "Oh, but I'm going to the school," and they have a sick network, like, what does that mean?
And for the frats too, they used to tell us.
Yeah, imagine that. Imagine they're the ones setting me up with my job. Bro. So imagine a 25-year-old who's still in college, whatever, beyond that. But that's the truth. I think it's like, but it's like that's the truth.
25-year-old.
We'll talk about who that is after. But no, but that's the truth. Is that like, what does it really mean to network? Who's gonna really have your back when you get out of school, right? Is it the person that you matched with on LinkedIn, that you connected with on LinkedIn, or is it the person that you developed a true relationship? What does developing a true relationship actually look like, right?
We don't teach that in schools.
We don't teach that. We don't teach, and this is why I think that the university idea, we'll talk about that after too, is really interesting. It's like, why don't we teach a class that is going to utilize the skills that people actually need these days, which is how to utilize this. If you have a business, how do you utilize this with your business?
Bro,
right?
I've learned more on LinkedIn Learning than UCSB. Like high key.
Yeah, it's the truth.
It's insane, bro. Like return on investments for social media marketing. Like I'm gonna learn that at UCSB. It's way more important for what I'm trying to do. You know, and the weird thing about
LinkedIn Learning.
Yeah,
I need to check
bro.
it out.
It's like good. When you have your premium, you also have LinkedIn Learning, and it's a bunch of courses. It's so.
How long are the courses?
Well, it depends.
I hope LinkedIn needs to sponsor me.
You should ask, but bro, networking is so important, especially during the era of COVID. But we don't teach it, and it's such a shame, bro. It's leadership. We don't teach leadership. We don't teach how to be a good, you know, or even what I always say is like you can study 4 years to be an engineer without having done anything, and then you don't know if you hate it or not, and then you get a job and you fucking hate it.
Yeah.
Right. So there's no vocational training either, which is kind of weird, especially in the U.S. I think in Europe it's a bit different. But yeah, I mean the African Leadership University is amazing. Fred Swaniker, you should look into it.
Okay. I will.
Amazing.
And I think also it's so I think in America they're taught that if you do A, B, C, then you will get D.
Yeah.
And when you don't get D, you're crushed. Right? And I think
same thing in the Arab world, man.
Really?
Like it's either you're a doctor or you're a lawyer or you're a failure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean like to be a
crazy?
rapper, bro. I don't know what I am right now. I don't no clue. That's why influencer kind of makes sense to me, but like how do I explain that to like a 60-year-old?
Right.
I was a business owner. That's what I would say. I own a business.
Now, speaking of music.
Yeah, tell me.
I heard we're going to hear a little freestyle.
Yeah, bro, I would love to.
And we have to figure out how Josh is going to plug us up real quick.
Yeah.
Because I want to hear, and I honestly, and I'm not saying this, I sent it to my friend actually.
Which one?
My friend Joseph. I don't know.
No, which song?
Oh, I sent Jerusalem Freestyle.
Yeah, banger.
Bang.
Yeah, you like it?
I like that one, and I like the clip that you posted from Nirvana.
Yeah.
I like
the second part of the song.
It's that you posted on your Instagram. You posted like it was like a minute 30. Fire too.
Yeah.
People need to check that out. Where they Spotify,
Yeah,
Apple,
Spotify,
everywhere.
Everything, yeah. You ready? Yeah. Shout out Abdelhamid. Shout out Henry Morris. Most importantly, shout out Kulthum. Hey, yeah. Listen, Adam laid down the oud and they feeling it. Palestinians, yeah, we killing it. They tell me that I should go back to my country. You think I wanna be an immigrant? It's in the intentions. That's the difference between us. Your grandfather moved for the money and oil, while mine was just looking for freedom. And I'm not talking about our cousins, I'm talking about the motherfuckers that colonized all of our land and then pinned us against one another. Said I hate when my brothers are hurting. I got people, they texting me saying they're proud of me. I treat that shit like a burden. That's how you know that you got it for certain. Cause I can't be letting them down. I feel like I got a nation on my back. And a lot of the time there's people that hate, asking me why do I rap. What they don't understand is this shit is way bigger than me, and you know that's a fact. What they don't understand is what I'm trying to do is to literally put us on maps. I cannot relax. Yeah. J'en fais mon 4 heures de tes rappeurs préférés. Yeah. Ne crois pas les choses que tu vois à la télé. You know I be trying to get back to my people, so no I can't take a vacation. These kids looking up to me, I'm on my way to be king of this new generation. غزاوي فلاحي بشرب عنب وتوت. إذا ابنك اتأخر عليكي بزيادة يمكن يموت. بيحكوا عنا مساكين بس والله فيش حدا بيدعمنا. وفيش حد بيحب شعبنا أكتر من شعبنا. With love from غزة.
Boom! Boom!
Yes sir.
Yes
With
sir.
love from غزة.
Dude,
Alhamdulillah. We're all good.
Dude, I love that.
Thank you.
And shout out, I was saying you before, shout out to your
Shout
producer.
out to Abdelhamid and Henry Morris. I love you guys. Jad, amazing.
Fucking beat goes crazy.
Yes, I'm glad we did that.
Bro,
Let's go.
Bro, to wrap things up, man, it's crazy. First of all, I don't even know how, we've been here like an hour 40. We could talk, I could talk to you for hours, and I know that I'm just excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's more the word when I've been seeing because I've known you for like a couple years, and obviously I haven't seen you in a while because I transferred, but it's giving me hope in our younger generation, not just in America but also around the world, right? And I think that I couldn't think of a better person to embrace.
Thanks, bro.
To embrace, no, but
Habibi.
For you to embrace your people and to do so with kindness and humility, and I'm just excited to see where this is all gonna go.
Me too, man.
You know, because I think that you've now, and I was talking about Josh, this is something that I'm trying to do really with my show as well, is to grow a kind of fan base that wants to see every move you're making. Yeah. And I think that you're doing a phenomenal job of that already, right?
Yeah, actually.
And I think that, and man, you know, if you come back here in a year or 2 years or whenever you come back next to New York, I'm even just looking forward to that, because I feel like right now I'm a fan on the sideline just looking at no, but like, because I'm just happy to see you making this change and really just helping lives. Whether you make grand scale change, that's everyone always have their opinions, but you're changing people's lives, and for that I am happy for you.
Thank you, man.
So
thank you,
man. I don't even know what else. You know, I think people, first of all, they need to be able to follow you they need to know where to follow you. At Marwan.abh.
On Instagram.
On Instagram.
Abdelhamid is taken for some reason.
Really?
ABH.
You'll get that soon.
Yeah, inshallah.
And then where can they find everything? Where plug everything away?
If you got like my music I like my music, so you can listen on Spotify. I have a YouTube channel that I don't really upload on, so
Dude,
you don't need
start
to.
that.
I know, bro, but it's hard. It's hard.
It is.
TikTok, follow me on TikTok, Marwan.Abdelhamid, and add me on LinkedIn, Marwan Abdelhamid.
And then Grow Home.
Yeah, you can follow Grow Home. On Instagram, it's at Grow Home App.
Do you guys have a website yet?
Yes, but should I? Yeah, fuck it. Just www.growhome.app. We have our landing page. People will be able to see it. If you're a diaspora, even if you're not Palestinian, go check it out. I think this is something that is way bigger than Palestine, but we're going to be the pioneers, you know? It's really important for me to be like, for Palestinians to see Palestinians succeed. You know what I mean? It's so empowering. And so I hope to be a pioneer of Palestinian success.
And if someone is interested in either investing, whether it be financially or other resources or any kind of whatever it may be,
just hit me up, man. Hit me up, or we also have a LinkedIn, so you can follow us and send us a message there. But I am the founder, so you can just directly talk to me.
My brother, happy to have you on, man. And it's good to see you, man. I haven't seen you in a while. We're going to go get some dinner. Thank you, everybody.
So much. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't done so already, please make sure you like this video and hit that subscribe button. And also follow me on Instagram at felix.levine to stay updated on all new content as it comes out.